The alien academy stood tall under the twin suns, its silver walls glowing like a beacon in the desert sky. Inside its halls, hundreds of young alien students sat in curved rows, their eyes fixed on the professor. Today's lesson was about a species most of them found strange and confusing: humans. At the center of the class stood Professor Zalen, his long fingers moving across the glowing screen. Charts and diagrams of human anatomy floated in the air. The professor's voice echoed in the chamber, calm but filled with weight. "Today," he said, "we discuss a fact about humans that shocks many across the galaxy." He paused for effect, letting the silence grow. Unlike most species, human males do not follow a breeding season. The room filled with whispers. Alien students looked at one another with wide eyes. Some laughed nervously, some frowned in disbelief. Their species, and almost every other they knew, had cycles, times when reproduction was possible and times when it was not. But humans, the professor explained, were fertile all year round. One student in particular, a young alien girl named Sira, froze in her seat. Her golden skin turned pale as she stared at the human boy sitting quietly at the back of the room. His name was Daniel. He wore the standard academy uniform, his expression calm, almost bored, while every alien around him shifted in shock. Professor Zalen continued, "For humans, survival depended on readiness at all times. On their world, danger never waited. Resources were scarce. Predators hunted constantly. To ensure survival, nature gave them continuous fertility." The whispers grew louder. Sira could not believe what she was hearing. Her people, the Ilari, had only one mating season each year. Outside that season, reproduction was impossible. The idea of a species being fertile without pause seemed unnatural, frightening even. She raised her hand, her voice trembling as she asked, "Professor, are you saying they are always ready? Always capable of creating offspring?" The professor's gaze fell on her. He nodded slowly. "Yes, Sira, human males do not have a cycle. Their bodies are prepared every single day of their lives." Gasps filled the classroom. One alien male hissed under his breath. Another muttered, "Impossible. Too dangerous." Some giggled in embarrassment, but Sira only stared harder at the human boy. Daniel lifted his eyes for the first time. Meeting hers, his gaze was steady, calm, and without shame. Unlike the aliens, he showed no surprise. He knew what they were learning, and he did not hide from it. That calmness unsettled her even more. Professor Zalen tapped the glowing screen again. A new image appeared: a human tribe, surviving in the wilds of Earth. This adaptation made humans one of the most successful species on their world. He explained, they could grow their numbers faster than predators could kill them. They could rebuild after wars and famines. They became almost impossible to wipe out. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. Some admired it, some feared it. Sira's heart raced. Was this why humans were spoken of with such caution? She had heard whispers before, that humans were survivors, that they were dangerous. Now she was beginning to understand why. She leaned closer to her friend, whispering, "But if they are always fertile, doesn't that mean they could spread without limit?" Her friend gave her a worried look. "Maybe that is why their kind is feared." Sira's mind was a storm. She felt nervous, but also deeply curious. How could a species live like that, without limits, without cycles? Was it not chaos? Was it not dangerous even for themselves? Professor Zalen ended the lesson with a warning. "Many of you laugh, many of you doubt. But remember this: what you call unnatural, humans call survival. Never underestimate what they are capable of. Their biology is only one part of their strength." The class ended. Students began to leave, buzzing with whispers. Some kept glancing at Daniel with nervous eyes. Some looked at him with envy or even anger. But Daniel walked calmly, his steps slow, his eyes steady. He did not need to explain himself. He carried the weight of human history in silence. Sira did not leave at once. She sat frozen in her seat, her mind caught between fear and fascination. She whispered to herself, "Always fertile. Always ready. What kind of species are you? Her heart pounded as she watched Daniel leave the room. His calmness haunted her more than any words. For the first time, she wondered if being close to a human was not only shocking but dangerous, and yet, deep inside, she felt something stronger than fear, a strange spark of curiosity, a pull that made her want to know more. She did not understand why, but she knew this was only the beginning. ****. The academy's corridors buzzed with whispers after the shocking lesson. Everywhere Sira walked, she heard students speaking in hushed voices about humans. Some laughed nervously, others sounded fearful. A few even warned each other to keep distance from Daniel, the only human student in the academy. But Sira could not laugh, and she could not ignore it. Her mind replayed the professor's words again and again. Humans are fertile every day of their lives. The idea refused to leave her thoughts. It clung to her heart like a shadow. That evening, while most students gathered in the dining hall, Sira stayed behind, hiding near the corner of the hallway. She watched Daniel from afar. He sat at a table by himself, calmly eating. His movements were steady, controlled, and without any rush. The other aliens sat in groups, often glancing at him with caution. Some even shifted their seats farther away, as if his presence alone was dangerous. Sira whispered to herself, "Why are you so calm? Why are you not ashamed?" Her people would never speak openly about fertility. It was private, secret, and tied to their single mating season. But humans seemed to live with it daily, and Daniel did not even flinch when the professor spoke of it. For the next 2 days, Sira's curiosity grew stronger. She found herself following Daniel, not closely enough to be noticed, but always near. She saw him in the library, reading books on alien cultures. She saw him training in the academy's courtyard, his body moving with precision and discipline. He was stronger than most alien males, though he did not show it unless required. One afternoon, she gathered the courage to approach him. The air in the courtyard shimmered under the twin suns. Daniel sat alone on a bench, his eyes focused on a datapad. Sira's footsteps were hesitant, her heart pounded. But something pushed her forward. "Human," she said softly. Her voice carried both fear and curiosity. Daniel lifted his head. His eyes were calm, like deep pools of water. "My name is Daniel," he replied simply. Sira's throat went dry. She shifted nervously before asking, "Is it true what the professor said, that you are always fertile? That your kind has no season?" Daniel tilted his head slightly. He studied her, not with anger, not with embarrassment, but with patience. "Yes," he answered. "It is true." Sira's skin rippled with unease. She almost stepped back, but her curiosity chained her in place. "How do you live like that? How do you control it?" Daniel placed the datapad aside. He leaned forward slightly, his voice calm but firm. "It is not about control. It is about survival. We are ready because the world never gave us peace, famine, predators, wars. We could not wait for the right season. We had to be prepared at all times." Sira's eyes widened. His words painted a picture she had never imagined. Her people lived in ordered cycles, with times of peace and certainty, the idea of constant danger, of survival without rest, shook her to the core. "Does it not feel heavy?" she asked, almost whispering. Daniel gave a faint smile. "It is heavy, but it is what made us strong. It is what kept us alive." For a moment, silence stretched between them. The sound of the academy's wind chimes filled the courtyard. Sira felt her chest tighten. She had expected shame or arrogance, but what she saw in Daniel was neither. It was acceptance, a quiet strength born from struggle. She wanted to ask more, but her courage faltered. Instead, she said softly, "The others fear you." Daniel looked toward the academy's tall spires, his eyes thoughtful. "They fear what they do not understand," he said. "Fear is natural, but it can be dangerous if it grows into hate." His words lingered in her mind, making her feel both uneasy and strangely inspired. No alien student ever spoke like that. with such calmness about fear and danger. That night, Sira could not sleep. She stared at the glowing lights outside her window, replaying every word Daniel had spoken. She realized she had seen something in him that others refused to see. Not danger, but strength. Her thoughts swirled. If they are always ready, always fertile, then maybe their true strength is not only in their bodies, but in their hearts and minds. They survive because they never stop. They never wait. The next morning, rumors spread faster across the academy. Some claimed that humans were dangerous, breeders who could overrun planets. Others whispered that their fertility made them resilient leaders. The debate grew hotter, dividing the academy. Sira felt trapped between the two sides, but in her heart, she knew she wanted to understand more, not fear more. She whispered to herself, "I need to know who they really are." Her curiosity had grown into something larger, something unstoppable. She was no longer just a student hearing strange lessons. She was now part of a secret journey, a path that would lead her closer to the truth about humans and closer to Daniel. As she walked into the crowded academy halls, she did not know that her questions had already started a ripple that would spread far beyond one classroom, far beyond one academy. And in the center of that ripple stood the human, quiet but unshakable. ****. The alien academy was never quiet after that lesson. Whispers moved through the halls like an invisible wind. Every corner, every dining table, every library seat carried the same topic: humans. "Did you hear?" One alien male muttered to his friends. "They say human males can breed any time, even in the coldest seasons." Another hissed, "That is unnatural, dangerous. They could overrun entire worlds if left unchecked." Some laughed nervously, others whispered with awe. Few even looked at Daniel with open fear whenever he passed by. He walked calmly, ignoring the stares, but his silence only made the rumors grow. Sira felt the weight of those whispers more than anyone. She had spoken to him once, and his answers still echoed inside her mind. The calm way he had explained survival, the strength in his voice, the quiet acceptance of his people's truth. It haunted her at night. While she lay in her bed, her roommates whispered about him too. "Do you think it's true?" One asked, "Maybe they exaggerate." Another replied, "No, the professor confirmed it." The first insisted. Their voices shook with unease, and Sira stayed silent, her heart torn between fear and curiosity. The next day in the dining hall, the rumors had grown wilder. "I heard humans can't stop themselves." One alien male whispered. His tone was mocking but carried nervousness. "They must always be thinking of it." Another leaned in and said, "No. I heard that's why they conquered their planet, because they kept spreading faster than any predator could hunt them." The group laughed, but their laughter was uneasy. More eyes turned toward Daniel, who sat at his usual place. Calm, steady, eating in silence. He did not answer the rumors. He did not defend himself. He simply existed, and that made the whispers even louder. Sira's chest tightened. She wanted to shout at them, to tell them they were wrong, but she held her tongue. Her people did not speak against the crowd. She only watched Daniel, wondering how he could endure such attention without breaking. Later that week, the whispers reached the ears of the Academy Council. The older teachers gathered in a private chamber, their faces drawn with worry. "Students fear him." One elder said, "This is dangerous. Humans are unpredictable," another added. "Their biology makes them unlike us. Can we trust them to study here without causing unrest?" Professor Zalen raised his long fingers, silencing the council. "Fear grows because of ignorance." He said, "Daniel has done nothing wrong. We must guide the students, not spread their panic." But not all agreed. Some elders still whispered of danger, planting seeds of doubt even among themselves. Back in the dormitory, Sira overheard more rumors. This time they were darker. "I heard humans can breed with other species," one alien girl whispered with wide eyes. "That's why the council fears them," another replied. "That cannot be true." But her voice shook with uncertainty. Sira clenched her fists. Her mind burned with anger. The rumors were twisting into lies, yet the more they spread, the more students believed them. She decided she could no longer stay silent. That evening, she found Daniel again. He was in the library, studying quietly, his calm face bathed in the glow of holographic pages. "You hear them, don't you?" she asked, her voice low. Daniel lifted his eyes, meeting hers. "I hear them," he said simply. "Then why don't you answer?" she asked, frustrated. "Why do you let them say these things?" Daniel closed the hologram with a flick of his finger. He leaned back, his gaze steady. "Because words lose their power if you do not feed them. Fear grows when you chase it." "I let their fear burn out by itself." Sira was stunned into silence. No alien she knew would ever stay calm in the face of such rumors. Her people defended themselves with pride, yet Daniel chose silence. He chose patience. "Does it not hurt?" she asked softly, his lips curved into a faint smile. "Of course it hurts, but pain teaches us more than pride does." Those words sank into her heart like stones. She could not stop thinking about them. The next day, the whispers changed again. This time, some students began to admire him. "Maybe humans are strong because of this," one whispered. "They survive things we could not." "Maybe we should respect that," another added. "Or maybe they are too strong. Maybe one day, they will lead us." The academy grew divided. Some feared him, some admired him, and some simply did not know what to believe. But one thing was clear: Daniel could no longer be ignored. Sira watched all of this unfold. Her curiosity now burned brighter than her fear. She whispered to herself, "Who are you really, Daniel? What more secrets do you hide?" And as she spoke those words, she realized something chilling. The rumors had already escaped beyond the academy walls, carried by visiting students and traveling scholars, spreading from one city to another. The galaxy was beginning to whisper too. ****. The academy's whispers refused to die. Days passed, yet every hallway still carried Daniel's name. Fear and fascination grew side by side. Some students avoided him as if he carried a plague. Others stared with quiet respect, but no one dared to approach him closely. No one except Sira. She could not sleep at night anymore. Her mind repeated his calm words again and again. "We are ready because the world never gave us peace." She had asked simple questions before, but a much deeper one now clawed at her thoughts. A question so bold that even thinking about it made her skin tingle with shame. Her people, the Ilari, never spoke openly about such things. Reproduction was sacred, a private matter tied only to their short season, but humans lived with it every day. To Sira, it was terrifying and fascinating at the same time. And so the question grew stronger until she could no longer silence it. On the fourth night after the lesson, she found Daniel again in the academy's quiet garden. He sat under the glow of the twin moons, reading from a glowing datapad. The soft hum of night insects filled the air. Sira stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Daniel." He looked up, calm as always. "Sira," he replied, remembering her name. His tone carried no judgment, no mockery, only patience. Her heart raced. Her throat felt dry, but she forced the words out. "Why? Why did nature make your kind always ready? Why no season, no limits?" The words hung in the air like fire. For an Ilari, such a question was forbidden. It was the kind of thing one whispered only in private, never out loud, yet Sira had asked it, her voice carrying both fear and desperate curiosity. Daniel closed the datapad slowly, his eyes fixed on hers. "You want the truth," he said. She nodded, her golden skin shimmering faintly under the moonlight. "Yes. I want to understand." Daniel leaned back, his gaze drifting toward the night sky. "Our world was cruel, Sira. There was never a safe season, never a moment when the earth said, 'Now it is safe to grow.' Winter could kill in weeks, famine could come in days, predators could strike at any hour. We could not wait for the right time." Sira listened, her heart thundering. His words painted pictures of a world she could barely imagine. "We became what we had to be," Daniel continued. Always ready, always fertile. Because survival demanded it, our bodies adapted. But so did our minds. We learned not to wait. Not to depend on cycles. We made every day count. Sierra's eyes widened. So it was not only about biology? Daniel shook his head slowly. No, it was about survival. Our fertility was only one weapon, but the real strength was our will. We never gave up, no matter the cost. His voice was steady, but there was something deep within it. Something heavy, as if every word carried the weight of countless generations. Sierra shivered. Her world had always been safe, ordered, predictable. She could not imagine what it meant to live without certainty, to be always ready, always carrying the weight of survival. She whispered, almost afraid, "Does it not make you dangerous? To others?" Daniel's gaze returned to her. His eyes glowed faintly under the moons, calm but unyielding. Dangerous? Perhaps, but not because of what you think. We are dangerous because we refuse to die. We are dangerous because we never stop fighting. That is what makes others fear us. Sierra's breath caught in her throat. His words struck her like lightning. She had thought the shocking part was fertility. But now she saw something deeper, the spirit of a species that never surrendered. Silence stretched between them. The garden seemed to hold its breath. Even the night insects grew quiet as if listening. Finally, Daniel's voice softened. But danger is not the whole truth, Sierra. We are also capable of love, of care, of protecting those we hold dear. Our strength is not only for survival. It is for building, for keeping others safe. Sierra felt her chest tighten. Her fear twisted into something else, something she could not name. She realized this was why humans were so difficult to understand. They were not just one thing, just dangerous or gentle. They were both. They were everything. Her hands trembled. She wanted to speak, to ask more, but her courage failed her. The forbidden question had opened a door in her mind, and now she could never close it again. That night, as she walked back to her room, her thoughts would not rest. She whispered to herself, always ready. Not just in body, but in spirit. That is why they survive. What she did not know was that others had begun asking the same question too. Students whispered not only about fertility now, but about what it meant. Some saw strength, some saw danger. Some wondered if humans were the future, and in the shadows of the academy, teachers debated whether it was wise to allow such truths to spread. For the more questions asked, the more powerful the answers became. Sierra, lying awake in her bed, knew one thing for certain. She could no longer see Daniel as just another student. He was a mirror of something larger, something greater, something her people had never known. And deep inside, she felt both fear and an undeniable pull, a pull that told her this was only the beginning. ***. The academy was no longer the same. The shocking lesson about humans had shaken everyone. But now the whispers had turned into something sharper. Some students no longer only feared Daniel. They began to envy him, to see him as a rival. Among the alien males, jealousy spread like fire. To them, Daniel was not just different, he was a threat. He was strong, disciplined, calm under pressure. And now the entire academy knew his kind was fertile without limits. To the males of other species who had to wait for short cycles, this fact felt like an insult. One evening in the training courtyard, the tension finally showed itself. Alien males sparred in pairs, blades glowing under the suns. When Daniel stepped onto the practice ground, silence followed him. His presence made them uneasy. Human. One of the taller alien males sneered. "Do you think you are better than us? Always fertile, always ready? Is that what makes you proud?" Daniel looked at him calmly. "I did not say I was better, I only said what is true," the alien hissed, his teeth sharp and glinting. "Truth or not, you act as if nothing can touch you, that calm face of yours. It makes us sick." Others gathered around, their eyes burning with jealousy and anger. Sierra, who had been watching from the edge, felt her heart race. She knew this moment was dangerous. Another alien stepped forward. "Prove yourself human. Show us that your kind is not just words. Daniel sighed quietly. His voice was steady. I did not come here to fight, but the challengers did not listen. One lunged forward with a practice blade, glowing blue. Daniel stepped aside swiftly, his movements smooth. He did not strike back, he only avoided, his body flowing like water. The crowd muttered. Some were impressed, some mocked. He runs, one whispered. Maybe humans are cowards. Daniel stood his ground, breathing evenly. I do not fight unless I must, but jealousy is a dangerous fire. The alien who attacked him snarled and charged again, this time faster. Daniel blocked the strike with his arm, twisted the blade from the alien's grip, and sent him crashing to the ground in one motion. Gasps filled the courtyard. The speed, the strength, the control, it was undeniable. Daniel had defeated his opponent without drawing a weapon, but instead of silence, more voices rose. He is dangerous. One alien hissed. If one human can do this, imagine an army of them. Another said bitterly, they will take everything from us, even our place. Sira's heart pounded. She could not stay silent. Stop! She cried, stepping forward. He's not here to take anything. He only defended himself. The crowd turned to her, some shocked, some angry. Why do you protect him? One shouted, are you blind, Sira? Do you not see what he is? Her voice trembled but stayed firm. I see what you do not. He does not fight to conquer. He fights to survive. Daniel's calm gaze flicked toward her. Just for a moment, gratitude shone faintly in his eyes. But jealousy does not die so easily. That night, in the dormitories, alien males whispered darkly. The human makes us look weak, one said. If the females admire him, what will become of us? Another spat. We cannot allow him to stay. He must be broken. The words were venom, and the poison of jealousy spread through the academy. Meanwhile, Sira could not shake the memory of Daniel's movements. The way he fought was not wild or cruel. It was precise, controlled, almost gentle. He had defeated his challenger without real harm. And that frightened her more than anything, because it showed true mastery. Later, she found Daniel sitting alone again, his arm bandaged from the strike he had blocked. She hesitated, then spoke softly. You could have hurt him. But you did not. Daniel looked up, his expression calm. Strength is not in how much damage you can do. Strength is in how much you can hold back. Her breath caught. His words cut deeper than the clash of blades. But they will keep coming, she whispered. They are afraid of you, jealous of you. Daniel's eyes darkened. Fear and jealousy have followed my people since the beginning. We do not ask for it. But it comes always, Sira shivered. His calmness scared her more than anger ever could, yet at the same time, it drew her closer. The next morning, new rumors filled the halls. Some claimed Daniel had fought with deadly skill. Others said he had humiliated the alien male on purpose. The story twisted with every whisper, and jealousy deepened into hatred. The Academy Council gathered again. Voices clashed in the chamber. He is too dangerous, one teacher argued. He will destabilize the Academy. Professor Zalin's voice rose above the others, firm and clear. No, what you fear is not his strength, it is your ignorance. Humans are survivors, yes, but they are also builders. If you cast him out, you will only feed the fire of fear. But even the professor's wisdom could not stop the rising tide. And in her heart, Sira knew one thing with certainty. The more Daniel showed his strength, the more the Academy would fear him, and yet, she could not stop herself from being drawn to him. That night, as the moons rose, she whispered to herself, he is not only a student, he is something more, something greater. And deep inside, she wondered if her curiosity was turning into something she did not dare to name. Asterisk, asterisk.
Asterisk, asterisk. The Academy's tension had grown heavier with each passing day. The whispers of jealousy had turned into fear, and the fear into something sharper. Students avoided Daniel in the halls, or watched him from a distance as though he were a living weapon. Some admired him, but admiration was quiet, hidden in shadows. The louder voices belonged to those who feared or hated. Sira felt the storm building all around her. She saw it in the glares, in the mutters, in the way groups of alien males clenched their fists when Daniel walked past. Yet what unsettled her more than all of that was Daniel himself. He carried himself with calmness, as if the tension could not touch him, but Sira knew better. She had spoken with him. She had seen the weight in his eyes. He was calm, yes. But behind that calm there was something else, something ancient, heavy, and unbroken. One morning, the academy gathered in the great lecture hall. The council of professors had called for a special lesson. The air was thick with tension. Every student knew it was about the human. Professor Zalen stepped forward, his long robe glowing faintly under the lights. His eyes scanned the crowd, lingering on Daniel for a moment, then on Sira, and finally back to the gathered students. "You whispered too much," the professor said. His voice echoed across the chamber. "Rumors twist truth. Fear blinds reason. Today you will hear the truth, and you will decide whether to remain blind or to see." The room fell silent. Not even the boldest student dared to laugh or whisper. Professor Zalen summoned a holographic projection. The image of Earth appeared: mountains, bursts, oceans, deserts. Then the image shifted, showing predators with teeth like blades, storms tearing across lands, and tribes of early humans fighting with sticks and fire. This, the professor said, is where humans came from. A world without mercy, a world that tested them every day. To survive, they had to be more than clever. They had to be ready always. The hologram shifted again, showing humans rebuilding villages after floods, forging weapons after wars, planting crops after famines. Other species survived by cycles, by seasons, by waiting. Zalen continued. But humans had no luxury of waiting. If they paused, they died. If they rested too long, their enemies destroyed them. That is why their fertility does not rest. That is why they are always ready. But it is not their biology that makes them dangerous. It is their spirit. Gasps filled the hall. Students looked at one another nervously. Some stared at Daniel, as if they were seeing him for the first time. Professor Zalen's voice grew firmer. Humans are not only survivors, they are builders. They are protectors. They endure, not because they are always fertile, but because they never surrender. They carry in their blood the memory of fire, hunger, war, and laws. And still they stand. Sira's heart pounded. Every word struck her deeper. The professor was not describing a monster. He was describing something greater, something terrifying and inspiring at the same time. She turned her eyes to Daniel. He sat still among the students, his face calm, but his eyes were heavy, as if every word spoken was a reminder of pain carried. Across generations, one alien male stood abruptly, his voice sharp. "You speak of them as heroes. But what if their strength is a threat to us? What if they take our place, our homes, our people?" Professor Zalen fixed him with a steady gaze. "If you fear strength, then you have already lost. If you fear survival, then perhaps you do not deserve to stand beside them." Murmurs rippled through the hall. Some students frowned in anger. Others bowed their heads in thought. Sira's chest tightened. She felt as though a great veil had been lifted from her eyes. She had feared Daniel because of what he was. But now she began to see him differently. He was not dangerous because of his fertility. He was powerful because of what it represented: endurance without end. After the lesson, as the hall emptied, Sira remained behind. She walked slowly to where Daniel sat. He looked at her, his eyes quiet but questioning. "You heard him," she whispered. "It is not your body that frightens them. It is your will. Your people do not stop. That is why they fear you." Daniel gave a faint nod. Fear is natural, but fear can turn to respect if given time. Sira studied his face. She wanted to ask another forbidden question, one not about biology, but about something deeper. "Do you hate them? The ones who fear you?" Daniel shook his head. "No, hate wastes energy. We save our strength for survival, not revenge." Her breath caught. His words carried more weight than entire books of wisdom. She realized then that she was no longer afraid of him, not truly. Her fear had melted into something else, something that felt dangerously close to admiration. That night, while the academy buzzed with debate, Sierra lay awake in her bed, replaying the professor's words. Replaying Daniel's calm answers. Humans were not monsters, not conquerors. They were survivors, and maybe, just maybe, that made them more important than anyone had realized. But as she closed her eyes, she also knew one thing: the academy would not accept this truth easily. Fear does not vanish with one lesson, and jealousy does not die with wisdom. The storm was far from over. The days after the professor's lesson were heavy with silence. No one dared to joke about humans anymore. No one laughed in the dining hall when Daniel passed. Instead, us followed him with caution, or with quiet awe. But silence does not mean peace. Fear and jealousy still lived in the shadows. Some students still whispered darkly. Others, however, began to whisper differently. They spoke of Daniel with a kind of respect, hushed but growing. Sierra felt the shift more than anyone. The same students who once mocked him now watched him train. In the courtyard, their gazes were not mocking now, but sharp, calculating. Some studied his every move, as if hoping to learn from him. Others avoided him entirely, afraid to be near him and Sarah could not stay away. Her fear had melted into something she did not understand, something that pulled her closer every time she saw him. She remembered his words, his calm strength, his refusal to answer hate with hate, and she felt a strange warmth in her chest whenever he spoke. One afternoon, the academy faced a test of its own. A training drill designed to simulate an attack was launched without warning. Sirens rang through the halls. Lights flashed red. Students panicked. Running in every direction, some shouted, some froze. The drill was meant to test discipline, but instead, chaos spread. In the middle of that chaos, Daniel stood tall. His voice cut through the noise. Stay calm, move together. Protect the weak. Students turned, shocked at the sound of his command. His tone was not angry, but steady and sharp. His words carried weight, and even those who feared him obeyed without thinking. Sierra saw it with her own eyes. Daniel organized them, guiding the younger students, shielding the ones who stumbled. His movements were swift, precise, and unshaken. He treated the drill as if it were real, as if survival depended on it. By the time the alarm ended, the hall was silent again. Students stood in groups, breathing heavily, but alive, safe, and ordered. Because of him, the council arrived moments later, expecting chaos. Instead, they found order. And in the middle of that order stood the human boy. One elder professor whispered, "He led them." Another muttered, "Without him, it would have been a disaster." Daniel said nothing. He did not boast. He did not claim victory. He simply stepped back, letting the others breathe. But Sierra saw it clearly. The students looked at him differently. Now, their eyes were no longer filled with only fear. Many now carried respect, grudging or not. Later that night, the academy buzzed with a new kind of whisper. "The humans saved us," one student said. "He did not fight us. He protected us." Another added, "Maybe strength is not only danger. Maybe it is safety." The word spread faster than the old rumors. For the first time, respect had become louder than fear. Sierra found Daniel in the garden again, the twin moons above, casting silver light on his face. She walked toward him slowly, her chest tight with feeling she did not want to. "Name, you changed them," she said softly. "They see you differently now." Daniel looked up, his eyes calm. "Not me," he replied. "The truth, it always shows itself in the end." Sierra's voice trembled. "But it was you. You led them. You protected them when even the council could not." Daniel studied her. For a moment, his gaze was steady, but softer than before. "That is what we do, Sierra. We protect, even when others fear us. We carry the weight, because if we do not, no one else will." Her heart pounded. His words struck something deep within her. She felt her fear finally vanish, replaced by something else entirely: admiration, trust, and something more dangerous still. The next morning, the Academy Council addressed the students. For the first time, they did not speak of humans as a threat. Instead, they spoke of them as allies. Humanity is not to be feared, Professor Zalin declared, but to be respected. They are survivors, yes, but they are also protectors. Learn from them. And you will learn strength beyond measure. The hall filled with silence. But it was not the silence of fear, it was the silence of acceptance. Daniel remained calm, even as the students' gazes softened, even as whispers of respect replaced the old rumors. But inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Sira stood among the students, her eyes fixed on him. She whispered to herself, "Is not only a student, not only a survivor. He is a symbol." And that night, under the twin moons, she admitted a truth to herself. A truth she could never speak aloud. Humans were not just dangerous, they were wonderful, powerful, and worthy of trust. The galaxy would soon learn what the Academy had discovered, and when that day came, nothing would ever be the same again.